Hello. Um, so I wanted to talk a little bit about open spaces. The name of the poem that, if you're watching this on YouTube, you just saw me perform, share, whatever. It's actually my first spoken word piece. I usually prefer to write, but there was something about this piece that for me didn't make sense written out. Like, I don't think it would have been shared properly, just written out on a page and read. I don't know the context of all the words and certain enunciations and emphasis on certain things would make the most sense or translate or articulate the best. I wanted to make this for me. Honestly, when I started writing that, it was like one of those feverish writing sessions. Like I literally think I woke up in the morning, and usually when I wake up, I have my routine. I'll meditate, I'll do my journaling and other rituals I have. But that morning I didn't do anything. I literally just got up and I started writing. I wrote like the structure of the whole thing pretty much in the span of the couple hours before I had to go for work. And I don't know, I think it was very cathartic. I think that specific instance, that specific experience doesn't exist in the vacuum for me. Well, not the specificities of that specific situation with that particular person, but the themes of wanting more after feeling connected with somebody is not new for me. Even after this person, I went celibate for like a year and stopped sleeping with anybody and stopped having casual sex. I mean, to an extent, I am still celibate, although not necessarily voluntarily. I think the biggest thing for me about that piece and like even what I'm trying to express and articulate with it is this feeling of being seen by somebody. I think I'm one of those people that can be difficult to get, I know, difficult to understand or to make sense of. I know, I know plenty of people, and I'm realizing that I've had friendships where people don't necessarily want to be friends with me, but want to be around me because I guess they'd say I'm interesting. I guess in the sense that I don't act like a normal person does. I've always been a good listener. I'm the eldest daughter in a single parent family. So that role specifically comes with a lot of, and even just getting into like the psychology of eldest daughters, a lot of us tend to take up the role of partner to your parent, specifically your mother. So growing up, I spent a lot of time listening to my mom, holding space for her, and I learned how to do that really well because during the times where I was doing that, it was very much needed. So I learned to listen at a really young age, and I feel like that has just also taken me to interesting places where people would just kind of tell me things and open up to me. I'm able to hold space for people and have it be something natural and comfortable for me. Even working in healthcare, I feel like I've had the most profound experience with patients telling me their history, sharing their experiences just because they can. I never really got that. I think it's so hard for me as a person because I'm not much of a talker. And I know I'm the type of person that holds my own history, my stories close to me. Even in that conversation that I was discussing and that was essential of this poem, I don't really think I opened up all that much. I think I mainly opened up out of a sense of obligation because something had been shared with me, so I feel like I should share. It honestly makes me uncomfortable, and I feel uncomfortable now. And this is an honest person, I would say. This is more about me and the way my brain's wired. And probably some conditioning, I'm not gonna lie, about, I guess, the roles I play and the places I take up. Or the space I'm allowed to take up, I guess, better put. But my history's always been, to me, my history is not light. None of my history is light. And even just looking at me, I have visible scars, like self-harm scars. So it's like, you can get a context clue that my history is not light, my story isn't light. So when I share it, I don't want to share it with people who don't have the capacity to hold me. Because the feeling of being let down is dastardly, I would say. And it's happened before. It happens often even, especially as someone who knows how to really listen to somebody. I think even now I feel like I probably haven't got the chance to practice much the holding space. Maybe there's a reason for that. I guess it's been quiet in my life in that regard. So it's a little strange. But in the conversation, we talked about a book that I've been reading. It was actually The Untethered Soul. I don't know if you ever heard me talk about that book. I probably have talked about it in previous videos. I actually read it this year. Such a good fucking book, I will not lie. And my spirituality is huge to me, I think. It's like, it's what I really, really, really care about. I'm shifting to a lens where there's just the spiritual and everything else is within the experience of that. So when I talked about the book, it's kind of difficult for me because I also want to be able to articulate these things well because it matters to me. And talking about this stuff, sharing this stuff is a big life goal of mine. It's the reason I'm interested in medicine, why I'm interested in the healing arts. To me, this is everything. So at the beginning of when I started talking about what the book was about, and it's also complicated subject matter. It's about consciousness. It's about expanding consciousness and letting go of the ego and your relationship with your mind. So it's not an easy thing to explain. But I struggled a little bit at the beginning, and I feel like I have this difficulty with creating space for myself and like taking up space when it comes to conversations, especially when it feels like other people don't really have the space for me, because I'm not gonna force you to listen to me or feel like what I have to say is worthwhile. Maybe because it may take time, or it may not be something you're interested in hearing, and I'm also not gonna lie, I'm probably on the spectrum, so it may not always make sense with the context or socially, at least for other people. So a part of me wanted to just kind of like just give up, whatever, you can read the back, but but the man was so patient in that moment. And also, I don't think I've really ever had that from a man. And I've been in a relationship before, 4-year-long relationship. But I think that and the combination of attraction, like deep attraction, and like a comfort with somebody made it feel so, I don't know, so like sacred to me. And there's this feeling I get sometimes when something is like, I don't know, important. Maybe it was just that moment that was important. Because the person, I don't really know, not gonna lie. I can't say that I know. We haven't really interacted much since that experience. And I did say one night, like I said. So, they'll say that if you're a yearner like me, you will get a bit of this. I feel like I may not seem like the biggest lover girl because I will cut niggas off. Everybody off, actually. And that's also a part of my own shit, not gonna lie. Because I will say I can cut people out way too easily, way too quick. I'm quick with that shit. Usually I'm right to do it. But sometimes I do need to calm down a little bit and slow down. Because a lot of the times, even if I was correct in doing it, my decision to do it wasn't necessarily something that I was using all of me to do, if that makes sense. So like my feelings were feeling this way, but my mind wasn't lined up with it. So then now I'm trying to go back. But you know me for real. Like especially my sister is probably, close with me. Or my best friend, honestly. You know that I'm a real lover girl. I will pine. And this was a time ago, actually. This was a time ago. And I feel like he was one of those people. This person was one of those people that I feel like, even throughout other people I dated and I saw since this person, my mind always kind of went back to them after. And a part of me also recognizes that this is probably some of my own patterning and like conditioning in my mind to try and fill that empty space of where I feel like a lover should be. And I don't want to try and create meaning of something before I understand it, if that makes sense. If I'm ever meant to understand it. Because to me, the situation was kind of confusing. And I'm talking about it because I also recognize I don't really have a lot of space to talk about it. Like I said, someone who actually really listens is kind of rare. And sometimes I come out of conversations wanting to vent to people. And I just end up feeling worse or dissatisfied. Sometimes they tell me possible things I need to know. Like even a couple of days ago, I would know that that's been driving me fucking insane. So I've been dreaming about this person. I definitely want to gaslight myself and be like, maybe it's not this person, maybe it's not what I'm dreaming of. But it's a very specific archetype of man, and maybe it's just what I'm discovering is my type, like drooling over type of. But I just been dreaming of this person, and I dreamt about them again, and I was like, okay, I wasn't even originally gonna bring it up, but I brought it up to my mom, and it ended up being. I honestly just wanted to vent. Like I obviously know that this. I can't create meaning of this. I obviously know that it was just a hookup, and this person likely does not want anything more to do with me other than my body, and I know it's in the past, and I should just let it go, which I'm trying, brother. But I just ended up feeling really dejected after that conversation because I just ended up getting a long rant. Like a long ass fucking rant about this stuff, and like she's sharing her own stories, and I recognize that this is my mom trying to help me to the best of her capacity. Some of the things were harsh, and I also need to hear. Like it was good to be here from somebody else that I probably didn't really fucking matter to this person, and they're not thinking about me, and it's just me. But it's not really what I needed in the moment because because I knew all these things. Like I've told myself all these things. I've already gone through a lot of the hurt over it. Which is why I was like, bro, I'm not fucking anybody after this. But it's nice to be listened to. It's nice to be heard without the judgment, without the need to insert a story or a narrative or give advice. To just talk about something that bothers you. And there aren't a lot of spaces for that in my life, I'm realizing. I think this is why I like YouTube so much. Because I feel like I just get to make whatever I want and talk about whatever I want. There's no pressure for it to be a certain way, to fit a certain molds. And there's no thought of whether or not I'm being received in a conversation, because be it someone watches the video or they don't, the video is there and I get to share regardless. But yeah, I think I recognize I also have attachment issues. I think definitely some of my daddy issues show up with a lot of the ways I connect with people. Part of the reason why I've stopped having casual, well, I can't say I've 100% stopped having casual sex because it's happened since, one of which was not good, other of which ended quite disastrously for me, which also affirmed that I should not be doing that to me, to be honest, because I just can't deal with trauma when it comes to people I've slept with. I realized that I can't. And only times I've really ever done it with somebody and it's not affected me is when I've just not really cared much about the person. And now in the sense that I don't care about them as individuals, but I'm just not really interested in you. Like that, if that makes sense. I'm not just really interested in you. The attraction isn't deeply there, or the sex is just kind of okay, mid, whatever. I never say we can't control whether or not somebody hurts us 100% of the time. You go your whole life having casual encounters and leave emotionally unscathed, and or only date people seriously and have your shit absolutely wrecked constantly. It doesn't really matter, but I'm just trying to be more intentional about how I connect with people, regardless of what context that takes up. I think it should be about the person I'm connecting with and myself and how I feel. What feels right in my body and feels right for me, my soul, my consciousness, whatever. Most aligned for me. I also recognize I have a lot going on right now. Like I'm signing up for a lot. I feel like I just come out of this really, really dark, well, not just, but in the past year or so, I've come out of this really dark period of my life where I was actively, well, it wasn't too long ago, it was a while ago that I've been actively self-harming, probably since I was 17, 18. And points where I was very horribly depressed and hated my life. Just overall quite miserable. To the point where I'm now, where I'm so content, so happy, grateful to be alive and to wake up every morning and to exist as who I am now, as I am now. I'm also at a point where I'm building this beautiful life for myself. And a lot of that is taking a lot of work, to be real. A lot of investment in my future. So many sacrifices of my time and my energy. And I'm not gonna say that I'm taking the easy path because I'm not taking the easy path. I mean, it's the path that writes for me, and I can't say it's the hard way, but it's my way, and it's what I'm meant to be. I know for a fact, but it is a lot. And maybe I'll make a video of like what I got going on right now. Maybe I won't because I'll decide it's nobody's business. But depends on how I'm feeling and where I'm at. But the recognition of that, I do have a lot going on, especially the next couple months. God damn, you could I just thought about it. I feel like in those moments you experience these feelings of I guess I'm experiencing these cravings for romance and love and like spaces of lightness where it's just being present. I think that's what I enjoyed. I feel like there was no trying to make this into something that it wasn't. Even though cuddling was kind of awkward, it was funny to me. But the conversation was really good. It was nice. It's probably like I guess probably the best talks I've had with somebody in a bit. And I've been on dates that I've enjoyed and hung out with people that I've very much enjoyed. But not like that. Which sucks because I think at this point I would like to just let it go and move on because I recognize this is not how it works. Holding on to it is not good for me. And I'm not doing it consciously anymore at this point. At this point, I'm ready to be done with it. I'm ready to like not think about this anymore. Just move on with my life. I'm not at a point where I'm fighting it anymore, or I'm struggling with it emotionally, but I still don't know how to feel, and maybe I never will. Because I think the situation for me was really confusing because I mean, I don't know this person, but it felt one way. And then things were being expressed in another way. Like the contents I was giving was like, you know, when you're like, okay, this is just casual, whatever. And I originally, which is me, I'm not gonna lie, I'll put this on myself. I was like, we were talking, the conversation was going good, I was enjoying talking to him. And I guess he always was just probably just looking for sex, but I asked what he was looking for, and I was like, oh, I'm only looking for something serious right now. And he said he wasn't in a good place relationship right now to be dating people. And I don't know. I think I understood that, but then we started talking in person, and it's not like I initiated the conversation because, especially when it comes to one night stands with me, I'm not gonna reach out to you and try and create more. I'm tired. I've been tired. I was tired then. I don't want to be confused. I don't want to feel like I feel something more with somebody, but there's this context of, oh, we're limited to just this type of relationship because this is all they want or this is all that's available at the time. And it felt like, oh, this person was, I can't even say that, but there's things that made me feel like it was more like bringing stuff with parents up and talking about his family and all that stuff. And then there's stuff with like socials, which social media is a slippery fucking slope. I think it's difficult because I think people create different meanings for socials for themselves. People don't really care. People do do care and think that stuff like who you follow matters and all that stuff. I do think that who you follow matters, and I really don't want to find myself in weird situations or sticky situations because of that stuff. But there's just things that make me feel like if it's just casual, why are you actively trying? Why are you trying to actively be a participant in parts of my life? Like reaching out to like support about things that I was doing, which I get it is sweet. And even like other social stuff where your account's private and it's a hidden account or whatever. But I know it's you. I always know. I usually do. Like going on my posts on other social medias where I don't really follow you and liking my stuff, and it's also being supportive, and I think it's really fucking sweet. But it's always confusing for me. I was so confused, and I was so frustrated because what do you really make of that? You know? When someone's like, I only really want your body, but they're engaging with you on other things. That's the thing of boundaries, which obviously for me was definitely got very frustrated with this person, which may have also been confused with them because they probably didn't know I realized or felt this way about all that stuff. But it frustrated me and it also made me mad because why are you confusing me, bro? Don't do all that. Which honestly real, because if you just want to fuck me, just leave it at that. You don't have to like my social media. You don't have to, I don't know. But like I said again, it's like everybody takes different things differently. I may have a different level of importance for stuff like socials than this person does. And obviously I wanted more, so I was obviously going to create meaning out of anything, even if it didn't mean anything to the person. I think I'm at the point now where I'm just trying to get over it. I think this whole idea of open spaces too, I feel like I've constantly tried to fill things or force things into this space to try and not feel empty. I feel like a big thing for me was this feeling, especially when I was dealing with a lot of my grief and my unprocessed trauma, was this feeling of like a pit in my chest. This like pit in my chest. And it's so hard to explain, but it's like the space where my heart is just so huge and it's so empty that it's heavy. And I guess I'd say it just feels with so much hurt and suffering, and there's so much there. And I think before, I guess 2024 was a big healing year for me. I guess before then, kinda, I was even through the first half of the year, because the first half of the year was heavy for me in healing. I think very heavy, and I started to feel the up towards the latter half. It's the upward swing of the pendulum. That I realized that a lot of the romantic and sexual connections I was partaking in was to try and fill that void, to avoid that void. And I'm still understanding a lot of what makes up that space for me. But I'm also not trying to avoid it anymore or run away from it or to fill it with things to needlessly avoid the experience of the hurt and the pain, the suffering. I recognize that life is both and that I am neither. I get to watch and I get to experience and I get to feel these things. I get to be grateful for the chance to do so. So I don't feel bad about it, and I don't feel like I want someone just to avoid my pain and my suffering, or to try and fix my life or make it better, or to save me. Because I know no one can save me. There is no one. No one is going to save me. No one is going to save me. I recognize people can do so much for me, and they can even do me better than saving me. They can teach me how to save myself. And that's true love. That's true healing. And as a healer, that's the role of the healer, I think, especially because I don't do anything. As a healthcare worker, I don't really do anything. You do it. I just have the tools and the knowledge to help guide your body to where it wants to go, which is the equilibrium. You know, it's a homeostasis, it's a balance, it's health, it's healing. And I think when it comes to this particular situation, I think it was the last of something for me. So letting it go has kind of been a big thing for me, I guess. Because I feel like without it now, a lot of that will be empty. I mean, I guess it would be empty. The space would be really empty. At least what I held on to from then, not particularly any connection with this person. I think when I said yes I'm even the one that offered the one night, to be honest. When I offered that, it's because I didn't want to be alone. It's because I wanted the chance. And part of that is desperation. And you can't really start something off with desperation and expect it to end in a healthy, happy way for yourself. But I think that was the last of something like that for me. I've learned to say no. It's been so good for me to just say no when something's almost or kinda or maybe. And to choose to be alone, even if that's not really what I want. Because it's an almost. Or it's because I only really want you there because I don't want to be alone. Because I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste other people's time. I just want something real. You know? I think part of the reason why I held on to this for so long was because some of my own patterning. So it's confusing for me in that sense. And B, because I feel like it was the last time I really felt something real. And not from someone else, where I liked how much they liked me, or I liked the idea of a relationship with them, or the fantasy relationship with them I had to go an attachment to, because I wanted to do things and I wanted to go out and go on dates and blah, 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 blah. But because I generally was interested. Like, this is the last person I've been genuinely interested in. Like, I actually want you to tell me more. I want to sit and listen to you talk. I'm so curious about what else you have going on in your mind. And then you see things from people, the small little things, like, it was funny, I was reading a book about narcissism, Actually, one of my first big philosophy reads. It was a difficult fucking read. And it was so funny. He read the back of it and he just kind of like, but and tossed it to the side. And it was such a cute, it was interesting reaction. And that it was like, it made me think, like, I don't know. It made me like, want to see more. Like, what's going on in your mind? I'm this person when I'm interested in something, it's hyperfixate. I think it's what gets me to a lot of amazing places, I will say, especially in the pursuit of knowledge and academics. But it's hard to contextualize that with people. I guess it's a hyperfixate. I guess in the right spaces, in the right place, the right time, the right person, I'll get to ask all the questions, and I'll get some answers, and I'll get to have more questions, because I love questions. I'd get to learn more from them and about them, and for them even. I think a lot of love is learning for somebody else. So I'm excited. I don't know. I'm happy that I voted. So we need to write things, another man to the void. And I'm not writing this for some particular outcome, because art can't have an outcome. This isn't the way it works. The only outcome of making art is to make art. I made it, and I shared it, I've done my duty. Now I can let it go. And once other pieces, and even just within the context of my life, I can just feel the rest of it. The parts that I haven't been letting myself feel. And now that it's coming up, and I have the time and the capacity to feel it, to truly feel it, so it can pass on its own. Without any effort, it will. Because that's the way these things go. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the ability and the capacity to write this, the time to share this. And for you if you're listening or reading, well, you would only be listening, not reading. And to you if you're watching, thank you. Thank you for holding space for me. You yourself are a beautiful open space. Okay. Bye.